The darkness of space twinkled with distant stars. A colossal Nexari fleet, made of shimmering crystal, moved steadily toward Earth. Each ship glowed with vibrant colors, casting a surreal light against the black void. Their insectile forms reflected the brilliance of their bioluminescent technology. The air in the command ship pulsed with excitement, a feeling that coursed through the Nexari. They held firm beliefs about their superiority over organic life, convinced their power was unmatched. Inside the ship, the Nexari Council gathered, their crystalline bodies glowing with anticipation. The council members communicated through intricate light patterns, each flicker forming a complex dialogue. They discussed the mission ahead, to conquer Earth and bring order to what they deemed chaotic. Humanity was like a storm, unpredictable and disorganized. They thought humans would fall easily, unable to withstand the might of the Nexari. Commander Xylers stood at the forefront, his pride radiating. His crystalline form sparkled as he accessed old data files, displaying images of past conquests. He remembered every victory, each one reinforcing his confidence. The Nexari had subdued planet after planet, reducing species to mere footnotes in their history. Now they would add Earth to that list. The ship's blue-green energy core hummed, vibrating with the anticipation of battle. Xylas' mind drifted to his last victory. He remembered how their precise energy formations had shattered defenses in mere minutes. They felt invincible, like gods of war. The ships moved closer to Earth. The Nexari vessels began to unleash their light-based weaponry, sending beams of energy that cut through the dark. Bright explosions lit up the edges of the planet's atmosphere, illuminating the night sky. Energy bursts cascaded like fireworks, a display of their overwhelming power. Yet amidst the chaos, a rugged figure emerged from the darkness. The USS Valor entered the scene, an old human ship with battle scars. The Valor was not made of shimmering crystals. Its hull was dented and dark, a testament to its history and resilience. The ship's engines roared, the sound cutting through the silence of space. Xylers scoffed at the sight. He perceived the human vessel as a relic, a mere annoyance. In his mind, the Valor could not possibly withstand the might of the Nexari fleet. As the first energy beams struck the Valor, the crew braced for impact. The Nexari watched closely, expecting disintegration. Instead, the Valor shimmered. It absorbed the energy, its hull glowing in response. Xylas' confidence faltered for the first time. The ship's design was unlike anything the Nexari had encountered. This was no primitive craft. It had adapted in ways beyond their understanding. As the Valor returned fire, Xylas felt a shift in the air. The ship unleashed a barrage of projectiles, striking the Nexari fleet with surprising accuracy. Confusion rippled through the ranks of the Nexari. They had calculated victory, but now they faced unexpected resistance. Xylas' crystalline eyes widened. This was not how the encounter should unfold. The Nexari were supposed to dominate. Their arrogance began to fade, replaced by uncertainty. The lights flickered in the command chamber. Xylas struggled to reconcile this new reality. What had he underestimated? He scanned the data, searching for answers. The human ship displayed resilience, absorbing their energy and firing back with precision. The council members exchanged glances, their previous excitement dimming. They had thought themselves superior. Now they pondered the implications of this human ship and its crew. As the battle escalated, Xylas sensed a growing urgency. He had to reclaim control and remind his crew of their advantage. Nevertheless, doubt crept in, whispering questions he had never considered. How could life so chaotic surprise them? The Nexari fleet prepared for another attack, their weapons charging. Xylas pulled himself together, firming his resolve. They would unleash the full force of their technology. Victory was still within reach. Yet, as the light beams streamed toward the Valor again, a new understanding began to shape in the depths of Xylas' mind. The humans might not be as weak as they presumed. Time would reveal the truth. As the first engagement unfolded, The Nexaris arrogance faced the reality of humanity's will to survive. The fabric of the universe shimmered with tension as the fate of two very different species hung in the balance. The Nexari fleet closed in on Earth. Their ships glowed with radiant colors, shifting and swirling like a living kaleidoscope. Xylers, the fleet commander, felt a pulse of excitement. He glanced at the vast blue planet below, always seen as an easy target. Today would prove their might once again. "Open fire," Xylers commanded. His voice echoed through the crystalline walls of his ship. It was time to crush the supposed chaos of humanity. The Nexari ships hummed as they aligned their energy beams, ready to strike. A brilliant array of vibrant light streaked across the dark void of space, converging on the USS Valor. The human ship rocked under the barrage. Captain Mia Tanaka stood firm at her station. The ship's hull trembled, but she felt the strength of her crew around her. The Valor, rugged and battle-scarred, had faced many trials. This was another test. Then something unexpected happened. Instead of disintegrating, the Valor absorbed the Nexaris energy. The ship shimmered with faint blue-green light, a sign of resilience. The alloy in its structure had been designed to harness energy, turning the tide of destruction into a moment of defense. The Nexari were momentarily silent. Confusion rippled through their ranks. Captain Tanaka smirked with resolve. With a sudden surge of energy, she ordered the Valor to return fire. Beams of energy shot outward, bright streaks against the darkness of space. They struck the Nexari fleet, finding weak points in their crystalline formations. Explosions rippled across the alien ships. The sound of metal clashing like thunder filled the void. Xylers watched in disbelief. Reports flooded in from his officers. The human ship had dealt damage. This was not the swift victory he had anticipated. Miscalculations crept into his mind. The Nexari had believed humanity to be primitive, but here they were, showing unexpected strength. The crew inside the Valor celebrated briefly, their laughter mixed with the whir of machinery. It was a small victory, but it lifted spirits. Mia felt pride swell within her. She led a team of survivors who had faced incredible odds before. They now thrived in the heat of battle. Meanwhile, Xylers struggled with doubt. The Nexari had always prided themselves on their precision and logic. They calculated battles like equations, expecting humans to fail. Yet here was proof that humans could innovate under pressure. Adaptability was a skill the Nexari had never fully understood. "Reassess our attack strategy," Xylers commanded, his voice trembling slightly. His confidence began to unravel as frustration built within him. The energy beams were not working as expected. The humans were changing tactics faster than the Nexari could respond. Mia's crew was quick to adapt. They worked together, using everything at their disposal. The Valor twisted and turned, evading incoming beams with unexpected grace. The ship became a living entity, breathing and reacting to each moment. Xylers felt the tide of battle shift. He had expected chaos, but what he saw was something else entirely. The crew of the Valor fought with determination. Their movements were unpredictable. The Nexaris advanced computers struggled to track them. Xylers felt anger bloom in his chest. How could they defy his calculations? The Nexari ships formed a solid wall of light, attempting to contain the Valor, but Mia ordered her crew to break through the formation. They executed a daring maneuver, darting between two ships. The sound of energy beams whizzing past was deafening. Xylers gritted his crystalline teeth. This was no longer a simple conquest. The human spirit blazed bright, challenging the Nexaris view of superiority. He couldn't comprehend what he was witnessing. Why were these chaotic beings fighting so fiercely? As the battle raged on, the Nexari felt a spark of curiosity mixed with their frustration. They began to question their own beliefs about humanity. Perhaps these beings were not so simple after all. Each move the Valor made was a testament to human ingenuity. Amidst the chaos, Mia Tanaka stood strong. She felt the weight of her crew's hopes on her shoulders. Each decision she made was vital. The sounds of alarms and the whir of machinery filled her ears. She could feel the heat of battle all around her, but she maintained focus. The explosion of a nearby Nexari ship sent shockwaves through the Valor. The crew gasped as the vibrations rattled their ship. Mia shouted orders, keeping everyone steady and ready. The creativity within her team was surfacing, sparking ideas and strategies. Then, in a moment of clarity, Mia understood their advantage. They could use the Nexari's own coordinated patterns against them. The human mind was unpredictable. While Nexari logic could anticipate a linear approach, humans thrived in chaos. Xylas, in contrast, felt the weight of his expectations crushing him. He reviewed data over and over, trying to make sense of it all. The more he analyzed, the more he realized that defeat was not just a possibility, it was becoming a reality. Frustration and uncertainty began to spread among the ranks of the Nexari. They questioned the very foundations of their beliefs. Could it be true? Was humanity not just chaotic, but also brilliant? Captain Tanaka's heart raced as ideas flickered in her mind, each one illuminating a path forward. The Nexari might think they had the upper hand, but she knew that their viewpoint had to shift. They had underestimated the depths of human capability. With each new maneuver, Mia felt a surge of hope. The battle was far from over, but the tide was changing. The USS Valor stood as a beacon of human resilience, adaptability, and strength. And deep within the crystalline hearts of the Nexari, seeds of doubt began to grow. They were faced with a question they had never considered. What if humanity was more than they ever imagined? The battle had just begun, and the revelations were only starting to unfold. The battle raged on, painting the dark canvas of space with flashes of light. The USS Valor danced among the Nexari ships, its hull scarred but resilient. Captain Mia Tanaka watched the chaos unfold with a mix of determination and focus. The ship was battered, but it absorbed energy from the Nexari's attacks, turning their weapons against them. Lieutenant James Carter piloted his fighter with precision. His fingers danced over the controls, moving seamlessly amid the chaos. He led a small squadron of human fighters, maneuvering them through the crystal formations of the Nexari fleet. Each fighter was a testament to human ingenuity, crafted for speed and agility. The Nexari fleet, once confident and coordinated, now faced confusion. Their advanced computers struggled to keep pace with human unpredictability. Xylas, the fleet commander, watched in disbelief as his carefully orchestrated attacks faltered. He had anticipated a quick victory, but humans were proving to be a challenge. Carter's squadron executed guerrilla tactics. They darted between the Nexari ships, creating distractions and sowing disorder. A barrage of laser fire erupted from the Valor, targeting Nexari vessels. The once coordinated formations crumbled under the unexpected assaults. The air crackled with tension, and the smell of burnt metal wafted through the cockpit. "Focus fire on the right flank," Carter shouted, though he knew his voice was lost in the chaos. The squadron responded instinctively, targeting a line of Nexari ships. They unleashed a wave of energy bolts, creating brilliant bursts of blue and green light. The Nexari struggled to adapt, their rigid tactics failing against the chaos of human strategy. Xylas felt frustration rising. The Nexari operated on logic and precision, yet the humans acted with spontaneity and creativity. He had dismissed them as primitive, but their actions defied his calculations. The battlefield shifted, revealing a surprising truth. The humans thrived under pressure. Carter felt the adrenaline surge. He had always been a risk-taker, but this battle pushed his instincts to the limit. The agility of their fighters allowed them to slip through tight spaces, exploiting holes in the Nexari defense. As they struck again, a Nexari ship exploded in a dazzling display of light. Tanaka noticed the transformation in her crew. They were no longer just surviving, they were fighting back. The Valor became a beacon of hope. The crew worked in perfect harmony, each member understanding their role. The smell of sweat and determination filled the bridge as they focused on the enemy before them. Xylas watched his fleet suffer losses. He had believed the battle would be swift, a mere display of Nexari superiority. Yet, humanity's unpredictability forced him to rethink his assumptions. They were more than chaotic beings. There was brilliance in their tactics, a spark of ingenuity that defied his understanding. The Nexari struggled to regain control. Their formation broke apart, and the once imposing fleet faltered. Carter seized the moment, leading his squadron into the fray. The fighters darted in and out, each movement calculated yet instinctive. As the battles continued, Tanaka felt a shift in the tide. They were not just fighting to survive, they were reclaiming their home. With each Nexari ship that fell, the crew of the Valor grew more confident. They were no longer outmatched, but embracing their identity as humans. The Nexari could not predict the human spirit. Tanaka felt it in the air, a unity that had been forged through adversity. The crew fought not only for their survival, but for each other. Every lost ship fueled their determination, turning their anger into strength. Carter executed a daring maneuver, diving toward a group of Nexari vessels. He knew the risk, but also understood the potential reward. His heart raced as he ordered the squadron to follow. They surged forward, attacking with precision and purpose. The battle grew fiercer as the human tactics evolved. They embraced unpredictability, adapting to the changing dynamics of warfare. Each skirmish revealed new strategies, forcing the Nexari to scramble. The overwhelming confidence Xylas once felt was being shattered by the very essence of humanity, creativity under pressure. Beneath the chaos, the crew of the Valor worked as one. Tanaka's orders were met with swift action. They studied the battlefield, learning and adapting faster than the Nexari could counter. Each victory, no matter how small, became a rallying point, igniting a fierce determination within the crew. Xylas felt desperation creeping in. His fleet, known for its precise energy formations, was now disorganized. The humans had turned the tide, forcing the Nexari to confront a reality they had long dismissed. Humanity's endurance was more than survival, it was a refusal to give in. The chaos of the battle swirled around them. Carter's squadron became a whirlwind, darting through the crystalline structures of the Nexari ships. Light blazed across the void as energy beams clashed. The air was electric with excitement, and the smell of burning metal filled the cockpits. As the battle wore on, the Nexari began to question their understanding of humanity. They had viewed them as chaotic beings, but now they confronted a deeper truth. There was beauty in human adaptability, an unpredictable brilliance that shone through the chaos. Xylas felt a flicker of respect for his adversaries. The humans were fierce, their spirit unyielding. They fought not just with technology but with heart, and it was beginning to unsettle the Nexari. The logic that had always governed their actions was challenged by an emotion they could not quantify. The battle continued, with the USS Valor leading the charge. Tanaka and her crew embodied the very essence of humanity: resilience, creativity, and an unwavering spirit. As the Nexari reeled from their losses, the humans embraced their newfound strength, ready to face whatever came next. They would fight for each other, and that was their ultimate weapon. In the depths of space, amid the burning wreckage of Nexari ships, the bright light of humanity shone through, a testament to their will to survive. And as the chaos swirled, the Nexari began to understand the power of that light. The battle continued to rage in the vastness of space. The USS Valor swerved between the glimmering Nexari ships, its hull battered but still standing strong. Captain Mia Tanaka felt adrenaline coursing through her. The bright beams of Nexari energy struck the darkness, illuminating the chaos around her. But this was not just a fight for survival, it was a fight for humanity itself. As the crew worked together, a warning alarm blared. The ship's sensors detected a civilian transport caught in the fray. It floated helplessly, surrounded by the clashing energies of war. Captain Tanaka's heart pounded. She knew the Nexari did not value life the same way humans did. To them, this scenario was a mere statistical loss. But to her, it was everything. "Helm, set course for that transport," she ordered, her voice steady. Her crew, knowing what was at stake, sprang into action. they prepared to intervene against overwhelming odds. The sound of energy beams filled the air, a symphony of destruction punctuated by the sharp crackle of nearby explosions. Tanaka's hands tightened around the controls. The ship jolted as they accelerated toward the stranded vessel. She could see its lights flickering, a shaky beacon of hope in the dark. As they approached, Tanaka spotted a Nexari ship preparing to fire on the civilians. An icy fear gripped her. No, and the story continued, she shouted, but words were not enough. Her crew moved as one. They unleashed a barrage of counterfire. Energy beams lit up the space around them, colliding with the Nexari's attack. The impact sent ripples of light cascading across the battle. For a moment, the Nexari ships hesitated, taken aback by this unexpected act of defiance. It was unlike anything they had seen before. This chaotic choice, a decision to protect the weak, seemed incomprehensible to their logical minds. The Valor drew ever closer to the transport. Tanaka saw the fear in her crew's eyes. They risked everything to save those lives. There was no guarantee they would make it out unscathed. But here now, they were bound by something deeper than any tactical calculation: loyalty, bravery, and compassion. Several crew members volunteered for the dangerous task of guiding the civilian ship away from danger. They prepared to board, knowing the risk could be fatal. Tanaka's heart swelled with pride and fear. Their willingness to sacrifice their own safety was a reminder of what made humanity unique. As they boarded the transport, the silence was deafening. The civilians were terrified, their eyes wide with disbelief. The crew from the Valor reassured them even as the battle roared around them. Together they secured the ship, preparing it for escape. The Nexari, now shaken, refocused their efforts. They aimed their weapons at the Valor, their precision emerging as cold calculation. The relentless energy beams crackled through space, striking the Valor's shields. The ship shuddered under the onslaught. Tanaka felt the vibrations in her bones, but she knew they had to keep fighting. They had to protect the innocent, no matter the cost. Suddenly, the crew received a distress call. "We've lost contact with our team," one shouted, panic creeping into their voice. Tanaka's mind raced. The Nexari were relentless. They could not allow fear to take hold. She made a decision. The Valor would create a distraction. "Prepare to reroute power to the aft shields," she ordered. "We need to draw their fire." The crew worked in unison, their movements synchronized, honed by months of training under pressure. The ship pivoted, and they unleashed a barrage toward the Nexari ships. Explosions erupted, painting the void with brilliant colors. Nearby, the Nexari ships responded with their own coordinated attacks. Energy beams sliced through the dark, illuminating the chaos. But as they focused on the Valor, they missed the movements of the human boarding party. They worked quickly and quietly, escorting the civilians back to their ship. A Nexari ship, however, turned its attention back to them. It spotted the human crew moving toward the civilian transport. They had only moments to react. Tanaka saw the glimmer of Nexari energy building up, ready to unleash destruction. "Cover the civilians," she shouted. In that moment, several brave crew members stepped forward, placing themselves between the civilians and certain death. The sound of energy erupted around them, a blast of light and sound. Tanaka felt the ship shudder again, but this time it wasn't just the Valor that shook. The Nexari, seeing this act of bravery, paused for an instant. Their computers, designed to calculate outcomes, couldn't process this emotional act. They had never encountered such selflessness. It was a concept that defied their understanding. Just then, a brilliant flash blinded everyone for a moment. The energy beam struck, but instead of total destruction, a shield erupted from the Valor's hull, absorbing the attack. The crew felt the heat wash over them like a wave. The ship vibrated with energy, but it held strong. Tanaka's heart raced. She saw her crew, their faces set with determination. They had chosen to protect one another, to stand firm against the odds. As they secured the civilians and prepared for escape, the reality of their bond became clear. It was their greatest weapon. The The Nexari fleet watched, now unsure. This human instinct, driven by compassion and bravery, began to crack the surface of their logical facade. Xylers, the Nexari commander, observed from his ship, grappling with emotions he had long dismissed. Fear, respect, and the beginnings of admiration bubbled beneath the crystalline surface of his thoughts. As the Valor pulled away, the crew knew they had made a difference. In this chaotic moment, they had turned vulnerability into strength. The Nexari had underestimated humanity's will, and now they were witnessing it firsthand. In the depths of space, where light met darkness, the humans shone brightly. They fought not for themselves, but for each other. For their friends, their family, and the ideals they held dear. This fierce spirit ignited something in the hearts of the Nexari, a realization that would change the course of their encounter forever. The battle intensified around the USS Valor, each pulse of energy a reminder of the stakes at hand. The Nexari fleet glimmered with vibrant colors, their ships like insectile gems against the blackness of space. Xylers, the Nexari commander, stared in disbelief as the human vessel absorbed their energy, defying all logic. His confidence wavered, but he pushed it down. The Nexari were superior. Captain Mia Tanaka felt the heat of the moment in her very core. The roar of systems and the crackle of energy filled her ears. The crew worked seamlessly, hands moving with purpose. They were not just fighting for survival, they were fighting for each other. The weight of their shared mission pressed down on her, heart pounding with the rhythm of battle. "All hands, prepare for the final maneuver," she commanded, her voice steady as she gripped the control panel. She felt the coolness of the metal beneath her fingers, grounding her amidst the chaos. The crew responded with quick nods, faces resolute, eyes reflecting determination. The Nexari began their most powerful attack, beams of blue-green light lancing toward the Valor. "Focus on the shields," Mia ordered, knowing they could not withstand this alone. Xylers watched as the humans scrambled. Their unpredictability puzzled him. How could they move so chaotically yet remain coordinated? It was a dance woven from instinct, not logic. The Nexari had never encountered such a force. Emotions fueled the humans, drawing them together in ways the Nexari could not comprehend. The USS Valor began to glow as it harnessed the energy from the incoming beams. Mia's heart raced as she initiated the counterattack. The plan was risky. It relied on a combined effort of creativity and bravery, two human traits Xylers had often dismissed. But now, he found himself on the edge of his seat, witnessing a true display of human resilience. With a sharp command, the crew directed the stored energy back at the Nexari fleet. Bright arcs of light shot forth, striking true. Several Nexari ships faltered, their intricate designs flickering under the assault. The sight was mesmerizing, the light blending with the darkness of space, a vivid contrast that painted the stars with hope. Then, with a sudden clarity, Xylers understood. The humans were not chaotic, they were free. Each decision they made was a choice born from the bonds they shared. It was a realization that shook him to his core. Mia caught her breath. The energy coursing through her ship felt like a lifeblood. "Now follow up with an evasive pattern," she shouted, directing her crew. The Valor weaved through the now wounded Nexari formations, each turn executed with precision honed from battle. The crew stood united, a well-oiled machine forged in the fires of conflict. Xylers felt a surge of doubt. It was an emotion he rarely entertained. His own commanders, though skilled, could be replaced by calculations, but the humans fought for one another, risking everything, defying logic and reason. He felt a flicker of admiration, a concept he had once deemed unnecessary. The battle raged on. The ships danced in a deadly ballet, blue-green beams striking and shimmering across the void. Each explosion echoed like thunder in the silence of space. Mia's heart pounded in sync with the chaos outside. Each sacrifice, each moment of courage from her crew infused her with strength. They fought not just for survival, but for the very essence of being human. Suddenly, an alarming signal blared from the ship's console. A Nexari ship had targeted civilians fleeing the battle. Mia's heart sank. She knew what must be done: divert power to the shields. "We have to protect them," she declared without hesitation. The crew rallied behind her words. They were not just fighting an enemy, they were defending lives. The Valor surged forward, a beacon of hope amidst the chaos. Light streaked toward them, but Mia felt a resolve that transcended fear. It was the bond with her crew, their shared humanity, that pushed them onward. Xylas watched, entranced. The humans had become a force of nature. Their bravery astounded him. He felt a stirring of respect for these beings he had underestimated. With the last of their energy, the Valor collided into the path of the incoming beam. The ship groaned under the immense pressure, but it held, protecting the civilians behind them. Mia felt the vibrations through the metal, the warmth of her crew's presence giving her strength. Xylas, in that moment, recognized the true power of humanity. They were not chaotic. They were a whirlwind of passion, care, and fierce determination. He considered his own kind, existing solely within the bounds of logic. Would the Nexari ever understand this depth of feeling? As the battle raged, both sides faced inevitable truths. The Nexari were formidable, but they were learning. And with every brilliant maneuver, every selfless act of the Valor's crew, the understanding grew. They were not just opponents. They were beings capable of profound strength in vulnerability. The battle reached its climax, energy crackling through the air. The USS Valor glowed brightly, a symbol of unity and courage. The Nexari fleet faltered, hesitating in the face of this ferocity. Xylas felt the tide turning, not just in terms of victory, but in his understanding of what it meant to be alive.